top notch. Have you ever eaten at a great, and I mean not like, I love Simon's. I went to dinner with Terry Van Orstel at Simon's on Friday, but let's talk about like 5-star, amazing restaurants. Anybody ever had that kind of experience? You don't look at the bill when it's paid, when it's time to pay it.
Yeah, you're scared.
Slide it over there. Just take it.
You go in,
Got this?
and the service is so, the experience is so incredible. You don't argue, you don't gripe, you just pay it. Because you do pull out your check book. Does anybody write checks anymore? It's fun to do that though. That's easier than sweater. You just do it. And in my mind, like when I hear value, that's immediately the visual that my brain goes to. How do we create an experience that encompasses market knowledge, understanding their needs, consultative approach, putting their needs first, excellent communication, explaining the forms? How do we take all of that and put it in a package? Because every single one of those is important, and I don't know that any one of them is more important than the other. How do we put it all in such a package that they walk away like you feel when you walk away from a 5-star restaurant? Like, wow, that was great. How much did it cost you? I don't know. That was amazing. I'll see it when I get my credit card statement. You know? Does that put into like a mental picture for you what value is? Does that help at all? Okay, so let's talk about it. Businesses that place heavy emphasis, because we haven't been talking about it already. Businesses that place heavy emphasis on customer service are more likely, I want you to hear this, I'm going to start again. Businesses that place heavy emphasis on customer service are more likely to survive and succeed than competitors who emphasize their advantages such as lower prices or type of product. Did you hear that? The businesses that focus on customer service will, over the long haul, beat out over pricing wars. They just will. What does that mean to you?
Repeat business.
Huh?
Repeat business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Here's what delivering customer service means. I'm going to give you 3 definitions. Delivering what you say that you'll deliver. I mean, that's, like I said, this is back to the basics. But how many times, Butch, have you had someone sitting across your desk, a client, that says they said they were gonna X, Y, Z, and they never da-da-da-da-da? How many times have you even dropped a ball? Chief offender said I was gonna do something for whatever reason, usually totally legitimate, life showed up, things happened, didn't deliver it. How does that make the other person feel? Is it their issue that I forgot or that I got busy with, whatever? Delivering what the customer needs. Kind of goes back to what Nancy was talking about. You may be amazing at knowing the statistics, which is absolutely phenomenal information, great value add. But if you have a client that really doesn't care or doesn't even understand, and you're spitting statistics at them, are you delivering what they need? Right? But if you can elaborate about the market and tell some stories about this buyer, this is what happened here, and this is this house, and this is how fast it went, and this is how many multiple offers, blah, 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 you might communicate better with them, and it's what they need. So understanding what they need. Yes, ma'am?
Well, and also if you can ask them, what would be your ideal real estate experience?
Yeah, find out what they want.
That, what would really be cool for you to get through this whole thing?
Sure. And then build it around that so you deliver what they need. And then the third is delivering everything that leads to customer satisfaction, which I think you guys gave a really good overview of what those things would be. Okay. Why does customer value matter? I'm having to change the word. I started to say customer service. Why does customer value matter? Number 1, the customer pays for it. I think sometimes we forget that. What do these people expect of me? I'm really busy. They expect, why do they bother me all the time? I'm just tired of this client calling me. I mean, we've all been there, right? But guess what? They're paying you. And you know what else? They're paying you a whole lot of money. We make a lot of money in this business. We get commission checks that people don't make in a month, working 40+ hours a week. They're paying you for the service. And I think sometimes, and again, myself included, we have to have a little gut check and remember, they're paying our bills. Number 2, customer value matters because it creates customer satisfaction, which then increases loyalty, which then generates cream, referrals, and repeat business. Has anybody here ever converted an internet lead, a Trulia lead, a Zillow lead, a Market Leader lead, your website lead, an eEdge lead, a Craigslist lead? Has anybody ever converted one, even just one?
No.
How easy was that? That's a ton of work, isn't it? Has anybody ever had a client call and say, hey, my name is Jen, and Corinne, my friend Beth bought her house from you last year, and she said you're amazing, and I need to buy a house. Can you help me? I'll take one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all day long, it's just so much easier. And your entire ability to do that lies in your ability to create customer value with the people you're working with today. This is where, you know, I know Joe's going to continue to teach this because we both think so much, but this is where I just hammer and hammer and hammer on being a strategic thinker. Guys, the business you're doing today is not about today. The business you're doing literally today, Tuesday, is about your 90 days out, your 120 days out, even a year out. Everything you do matters for 5 more deals. So sometimes when you're going above and beyond, and you get frustrated because maybe, you know, it's that $99,000, I mean, I've been there, done it, that $99,000 Rica condo that you are pouring your lifeblood into and working ridiculous hours, and you're going to walk away with a check for $300 when it's all done, and you're going, what is this worth? This is not worth my time. I could have made more flipping burgers at McDonald's on a per hour basis. But in 3 years, when that buyer is moving up, and by the way, all their friends who are the same age as they are, and they're all in the same process. You know, Brandy Krim and I were talking about this the other day. Brandy was saying, I think in the ALC meeting, she said, my average price point is finally going up, and it's because my clients are growing up.
Yeah.
She's had them sit down with service together. Like her database went to Service High School with her. And now they're all buying their next home. But if she hadn't delivered on those first ones, do you think they'd still be there? No way. So get out of the moment and think long term. It builds your reputation that attracts new business, and it validates your professionalism. You know, one of the themes that we really, again, want to take forward over this year is not just that we're now the biggest, and not just that we now have the most market share. We want to be Joe and I were having this conversation yesterday, we want to be the best. And that means the best service, right? Delivering that businesses and local professionals that aren't in the industry say, yeah, man, they're the best. And this is how you do it. This is how you do it, is through customer service. Okay. Is that making sense? Any ahas or thoughts real quick? Anything resonating? So let's talk about the difference between two different positions, which is interesting because Shana mentioned this word a minute ago, and they're both very, very important, and you have to find the ability to do both. Functionary and fiduciary. A functionary realtor, well, there's pieces to both, but fiduciary is the most important. A functionary realtor tells and sells. Have you ever met that realtor? I call him the used car salesman. You too today can drive away in this brand new 0 lot line for the low, low price of $189.9.
You got it down.
You know? You ever met that person? That's telling and selling, right? A fiduciary educates and guides. There's 5 homes on the market in this neighborhood. They're all 0 lot lines, and they're all priced between $185 and $196. This one's at $184.9, and it's got stainless steel and been totally updated. What do you think is the best value? Is that a different conversation than my over-exaggerated first analogy? A functionary responds to needs. Client needs something, I respond. Is that bad? No. A fiduciary anticipates the needs. Guys, this is not, I think, with the exception of one unlicensed person so far still in here. You're getting there. Most of you have sold a house before. Once it's not your first rodeo anymore, here's the thing. The situations are always going to be different, and that's the fun part about this business. The problems change, but the process is the same. You know what to expect. You know what's coming. So get ahead of it. Get ahead of it. Have them, the silly little stuff. have them the list of utilities to call before they ask you for it. That sounds really simple, but what does it look like for them not, for, you know, when they call and they go, hey, I need to change my utilities, can I get a list of numbers? Oh, sure, yeah, absolutely, we got that, let me get it for you. Or, hey Linwood, listen, we're about a week out of closing, I just emailed you over the list of all the utilities, so you can go ahead and get on that and get them all switched over. When they don't have to ask and it just shows up, it's an entirely different experience. Functionary assumes little responsibility. Well, it's out of my control. Yeah, it's the lender's fault. Yeah, it's the title officer's fault. Yep, it's the seller's fault. Well, the seller's agent is just an idiot. It's their fault. They haven't done their job. They left me with the whole thing. A fiduciary accepts high responsibility. And I take that a step further to say you accept responsibility when it's even not your fault. You just take it. You own it, you take it. It's very hard for someone to have, if Linwood and I are having an argument about a transaction, if we're co-brokering a deal and he's irritated because this and this has happened and I know it's because of other reasons, it's very difficult for him to continue that argument with me if I say, you know what, you're right, man. It's on me. Let me go fix it. Well, I mean, you really need, yeah, I know, I get it. I dropped the ball, it's my bad, I'm gonna go take care of it.
People don't want to let you do that, though.
They don't want to let you do it. They don't.
Want to vent.
But it really puts them in an awkward position because now they're a jerk. Because they are, right? Because when you're the guy that's beating up the person that's accepting responsibility, at some point you go, okay, let me just shut up now. You know, it's like having an argument with, you can't have an argument with someone who won't argue with you. And it's the quickest way to get off some of those ridiculous phone calls and emails. At the end of the day, people want someone to say, I'm sorry. You guys have heard me tell the story before. You know, someone broke into my home many years ago. We had someone break into the house while we were gone and steal my emergency zero balance credit card out of my nightstand and spent about $5,000 this day after Thanksgiving in the Diamond Center area in about 4 or 5 hours. And I didn't know it because they didn't make a mess in my house. I literally came in, found what they wanted, got out. They had dumped out one nightstand drawer and I thought it was my husband. So I was like, go clean your crap up. I didn't realize it until I got a call from Discover Card and they said, you've got a zero balance, you haven't touched this card in 18 months, why did you spend $5,000 today? I didn't. And you know, I'm one of those people that when something happens, Shane and I were just talking about this, I need to take action, even if there's no, I need to do something, or else I just get real frustrated. So I took the list of every store and I went to each person personally and said, why did you let Hector Hernandez, who we knew it was, use a card? This is Jennifer Toomer, because we had the video footage by then. Why did you check ID? Why did you not, you know, what were you thinking? I wasn't going to get anywhere, I just needed, and every single person, for the most part, said, yeah, we're so sorry. It's holiday season, we got all this extra help, and we blew it. Okay, thank you. That's all I needed. And then I walked into Sports Authority, which has received thousands of dollars of my money, and the guy said, what do you expect? What do you want? You want money? You want a gift card? You want me to give you in-store credit? What do you want? I remember, I mean, I was on the phone with, you know, the regional manager at that point because I didn't want anything. I just wanted him to say he was sorry. That's all. Fine, I'll take your money. But I didn't want to twist my arm. Take it to football section, please. But all I wanted, and I remember that lesson stuck with me into my real estate career. It's way before I started selling real estate, that all I needed was someone at the Mad Hatter to say, I'm so sorry. And I felt better. A functionary completes the task. A fiduciary owns the result. Do you hear the difference? A functionary delivers information. A fiduciary advises and consults. So we kind of talked about that already. Walking them through what is the, you know, it's one thing to hand somebody a TMO, their eyes may cross. They're going, I don't know what this is. It's another thing to say, here, let me break this down for you and explain what these numbers mean. A functionary meets expectations. What does a fiduciary do? Exceeds them. There's no greater compliment than to someone say, blown away, superior service. over exceeded my expectations. A functionary, and I love this last one, a functionary is replaceable, because if someone is just providing a function, anybody can provide a function. A fiduciary is irreplaceable. You know, when you get that call from the client that says, I'll never forget, I told this story a while ago, and some of you may remember it. I had a past client that I sold her house to. 60-year-old woman bought her first home when I sold it to her. And she bought this little ranch in Airport Heights. And she called me and said, hey, I'm going to sell it. Several years have gone by. She said, I'm going to sell it. I said, fantastic. She said, I don't sell it till August. This was like March, February. She said, I want you to come over and take a look at it and tell me, you know, what you think, blah, blah, blah. Go through the process. Give her a price. There's nothing to do. She's remodeled the whole thing. It's absolutely gorgeous. Cute as a button. It's going to fly. About 2 months later, it's like June, our date to sale is August, I get a call from her, and she says, this buyer, these people, were door knocking in my neighborhood looking for houses to buy, because they want to live in Airport Heights and nothing has come on the market, so they spent their Saturday knocking doors and saying, are you planning on selling your house? True story. 20% down, 800 credit score, conventional buyer, pre-qualified with Henry Roos at Residential Mortgage. She said, well, yeah, I am going to sell my house. I'm going to sell it in August, and I'm going to sell it for $220,000. They said, can we take a look? She said, sure, come on in. They walked in, they looked around, which probably wasn't safe, but that's thank God she's okay. They said, great, we want to buy it. Let's write the paperwork. She said, not without my realtor. They said, well, we just fired our realtor. We had a really bad realtor. They screwed us on a deal. We refused to work with realtors. We're not going to have anything to do with them. So no. And she said, well, then you're not buying my house. She goes, you can have whatever you want, but I'm not doing anything without Jen. That's irreplaceable. And I tell you what, you know how I felt when I got the call from her, and she starts telling me this great story, and where is my head going? Oh my gosh, she's in her house.
Yeah.
Snaked. Snaked right out from under me. She goes, and I told them, no way. I went, I love you. Can I clone you? You're wonderful. That's irreplaceable, right? That's your goal, to be that person. That's my 1 out of 1,000 success story. There you go. Here's what we're going to dive into, and I'm just going to hit through these 4 points really quickly, and then I'm going to get you out in about 5 minutes early. See, I'm on a new trend in my home stretch. I'm letting you out early. But we really can't break into this without spending significant time. We're going to go through 4 components of delivering customer value. The first one, and it's 4 S's, so it's really easy to remember. Number 1 is set, and we're going to talk about setting your expectations, presenting your value proposition, listening to their concerns, seeking agreement. So the whole set is about set expectations. I know it's nothing you've ever heard us teach about here before, but we're going to teach it again. Number 2 is service. Service expectations. What are the service expectations? Do what you say you're going to do, and do it well. No half-ass job. Number 3 is satisfy. Satisfy the expectations. Check with them about how they feel about what's happened. Don't we hate that phone call for feedback from our clients about the experience? We're scared to death what they're going to say. You know? We'll do the ones that we know they love us, but the ones we're like, I don't know. They hated me. It was interesting. I was talking to Katrina Benton the other day on the phone on our coaching appointment, and she is taking Bold. She's down in Austin, and so she's been calling through her past database. And she said there was this client that she had sold a house to that she said, man, they hated me. This woman hated me. At the end, she just hated me. She said, I saw her name come up and I thought, oh, I can't call her. She hates me. But she goes, I said, whatever, I'm going to do it anyway. She said, 45 minutes later, we were going to dinner, we're chatting, and she goes, and I finally asked her, I said, I'm not going to lie, I thought you hated me after the deal. She goes, oh no, I hate you. It was frustrating because of all the other stuff that happened. I was fine with you. We prejudge what people think of us because guess what? They're in the middle of the most stressful time of their life. Buying and selling is tough. And guess who gets the brunt of it? You do. And so we immediately go, well, they don't like me. Well, they may like you just fine. You may just be the catch-all for all the emotions that are showing up. But having that call to check and feel, it was interesting because she called one of Kim and Terry's past clients that they closed a house on and said, how did it go? She found out that Kim had way over exceeded what this client expected. And Katrina goes, man, Kim did such a great job. So I said, that's great, have you told her? She goes, huh? I said, as soon as we hang the phone, you pick up the phone, you call Kim, and you tell her the feedback her client just gave. And she did call you, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
I made her. She goes, I didn't think about that. You're right. They need to know when you've exceeded expectations. And then finally, surpass. So we set the expectations, we service the expectations, we satisfy the expectations, and then the value piece comes when you surpass it. That's when you hit the home run. So we're going to dive into those more next week and really talk about, and like I said, guys, I know this is basic. I get it. I know you're going, I've heard all this before. So have I. And we got to hear it again. And we got to hear it again. Because I promise you, you'll go look at your checklist again and you'll go, man, what did we miss? We missed something. I need to add this in. Any thoughts or ahas or comments before I let you go view 2 great properties on tour? Yeah, stop that.
One thing that we do in our team is anytime you're repeating a phone call, anytime you're repeating a phone call, that should be a system. Anytime you're sending an email more than once, that should be a system. Anytime there's a problem, that should go in the buyer's console or the listing console. Because if you can anticipate, your transactions will tell you what's wrong. Mm-hmm. You know, so if you're fine, it shows up. Yeah, it shows those cracks. So you constantly need to be looking at those cracks, and instead of going, oh my God, this person's just a total flake, blah, 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 blah. Go, wait a minute, how did we get to this point?
Could we have prevented?
Right, because they could be a total flake, but it's probably because something happened, and if you can avoid it, then you're not going to have that issue again. Right. But we're so busy, get them in the car, get them in the house, get them in contract, take that extra hour, prepare them to get into the car, to get into contract, and then all of a sudden, you know, it all works out. And then you do have that higher level of customer service, because it doesn't matter how much they love you in the beginning. If their closing falls apart, they hate your guts, and you have to remember that. You know, so you can be as cool as you want in the beginning. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think Nancy hit it on the head by asking more questions and finding out what's important to them, because we all have different value systems of what's important. I think that's probably one of the key things we could do, ask more questions.
Dave and then Nancy.
Vince Lombardi, the legendary football coach, every year after they win the Super Bowl, no matter what level, at the first of the year, the first meeting, he'd hold up the football and said, "Men, this is the football." You know, he was just big on the basics. He knew that who excelled at blocking and tackling, the basic stuff would win overall. And we just can't really overemphasize that one.
That's right. This is football. Yes, ma'am.
I just had a big aha. Years ago, when I was working in another company, they always would contact the past clients and get evaluations on the realtors. And the evaluation I got back was not good. And I was totally unaware of it. It was like, I should know more about the contract. It was just something extra. But I was, you know, first of all, you're embarrassed.
You're
and
defensive.
you're hurt. And then you go through all these crazy emotions, and then you hang on to it. It's one of those gotcha things get stuck in you. And it's just, you know, one of the ahas was, I could have called the person and said, I'm sorry.
That's a great statement, Nancy. Absolutely. I mean,
and that was many years ago.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That would have gotten it out of me. That would and maybe there was some problem solving we could have done to resolve it, so she could add
tell me what I
something.
could have done better so I can learn.
Or is there any way that I can possibly
Anything
fix
to
it
do
now?
now. Yeah. It's a great point.
Yeah.
Lindsay.
To kind of play off of that, our company does a survey, but I still call everyone after closing, and I ask 3 open-ended questions, because as in this industry, we beat up ourselves sometimes way more than our clients ever do. And it gets us down through the next transactions when we really shouldn't even be. And so strongly recommend calling clients, whether you know feedback or not, just to see where those places of improvement are. But sometimes you find that the things you think are so important don't even matter to people. Or they were like, yeah, but you took care of that, so why does that even matter?
Right. 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 Absolutely. Good stuff. Anything else? Yes.
So one of the biggest aspects of customer satisfaction for me is similar to what we were talking about a minute ago, and you kind of touched on it earlier. It's how everything has such an exponential effect on the future of your business. And like we were talking about a second ago, when you make a mistake, I think the most important thing to do is to take responsibility immediately and do whatever it takes to make it better. There's places I do business with because they've made a mistake, and I've walked away happier afterwards. And I'm
You're
glad they made
absolutely
the
right.
mistake.
Absolutely.
I think we can all think of an example
Yeah.
where, I mean, because no one is perfect, right?
Yeah.
It does happen, mistakes do happen. Things outside of our control, well, Dimick is, yeah, the exception to the rule, but, you know, things outside. Things outside of our control happen, or we just have human error. And you're absolutely right, sometimes the opportunity to win their heart is in how you correct and fix a problem. I completely agree with that statement, I'm glad you said that, thank you.
I was gonna be quiet, but you brought it up. I listened to this really great buyer's consult from this agent who used to sell property. She's not really very active anymore. And one of the things she says at the end of her buyer's consult every single time, and I remember I now have it in big bold letters on my buyer's consult, is giving the people permission to tell you you suck. You don't say it like that, but you know, saying my goal is to exceed your expectations and laying it out there. And that is a bold statement. I mean, that is to say, listen, not only do I want to meet your expectations, I want to exceed your expectations. And can I have your permission that if I don't do that, you call me?
Right.
You know, I mean, that's huge because a lot of times people are like, well, I'm already locked into this contract with this realtor and, you know, and so they're just miserable for 45 days.
Right.
You know, and it's like, you're going to feel it, they're going to feel it, not a lot of fun. But giving them that permission, now be prepared, they will call you. But
not
it's a
frequently.
great opportunity. No, but it's a great opportunity because if they do, chances are it's probably something you can solve right then and save 40 days of misery.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I agree. So we're gonna really put some work and effort into just raising the bar, because I truly believe if you guys will really dive into this with me and spend the time on the football, the basics, I honestly believe in a year to 2 years, you'll be looking and saying, these are referrals that were generated because I took my service and value to the next level. And when those calls come in, man, they are golden. They're the best calls you ever get. Come list me. Okay. You're a realtor, I'll show up, you know. Those are the best in the world. So anyways, thanks for being here. Go hit tour. If you haven't signed up for Red Day, sign up.